How do some people fit into any group in seconds, while others feel like an outsider? You've seen it happen. Someone walks up to a group they've never met, and within 2 minutes, they're laughing with them like they've known each other for years. Meanwhile, other people stand at the edge of a group for 10 minutes, waiting for some kind of invitation that never comes. What's the actual difference between those two people? It's not confidence, not looks, not even what they say. It's a specific set of small moves, and once you learn them, you can join in on any group conversation with ease. How am I so certain? Well, I used to be that exact guy, standing on the outside of the group, waiting for an invitation that never came. I'd overthink every single move and just tell myself, next time I join in, knowing damn well I wouldn't. But at some point, I got tired of it and started paying attention, not to what people said, but to what they did, their timing, their entry points, the small moves. Turns out the people who seemed to just fit in weren't more confident than me, they just knew things I didn't. And that's exactly what I'm giving you today. 4 social tricks that will pull you into any group conversation. And I structured this video so it doesn't matter what situation you're actually in. Starting from 0, walking into a conversation already happening, or just trying to fit into a group without feeling like the odd one out. There's a tool for every scenario, let's get into it. 1. The same boat opener. You're standing near a group of complete strangers, no shared friend to lean on, no conversation already happening that you could jump into, just you and a group of people who have 0 context about who you are. What do you actually say? Most people freeze right here. They either avoid the group completely or they default to something generic like, "Hey, how's it going?" which barely gets a reaction and leaves them standing there awkwardly, waiting for a follow-up that never comes. Instead, point out something you and the group are experiencing together right now in that exact moment. At a bar with a long line, this line is genuinely testing my patience. At a party that's way too crowded to move, I've officially given up trying to get to the bar. Stuck in the rain waiting for an Uber. At this point, we could probably swim home. None of these need you to know a single thing about the group. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just naming something everyone's already feeling, which makes it almost impossible not to react to. And once someone laughs or agrees, you're already in. Not because of some genius opening line, but because you gave everyone something to instantly bond over without ever needing an introduction first. But what do you do when there's no gap to jump into at all, because the group's already deep in a conversation? 2. The landing line. How do you join a group conversation that's already going? You walk up to a group, but they're already 3 jokes deep into some story you have 0 context on. Everyone's laughing about something that happened before you showed up. Most people, when they walk up to such a scenario, say something like, "Hey, what are you guys talking about? I want to laugh too." On paper, there's nothing wrong with that sentence. It's polite, straight to the point, even friendly. But in practice, it kills the whole moment. It has the exact same effect as stopping to explain a joke. The second you do it, the laugh is gone. Other people make a different mistake. They force a topic switch, throwing in something completely unrelated just to have something to say. This looks even more selfish than the first mistake because it tells the group their conversation mattered less than whatever you wanted to bring up. Charismatic people do neither. They listen first, just for a few seconds, long enough to catch the topic, and then attach themselves to whatever's already being said instead of starting something brand new. Let's say you catch the tail end of someone's story, just enough to hear it ended in complete chaos. You don't ask what happened, you just land a comment that fits right into the energy that's already there. Something like, "Honestly, respect for even trying to fix that." You didn't need the full context, you just added to the moment instead of interrupting it, which pulls you straight into the conversation instead of leaving you standing outside. This works because it does something interruptions never do. It makes the group feel heard instead of cut off. You're not competing with what they were already talking about, you're joining it. 3. Just play the game. Here's a scenario you've probably been in dozens of times. A group is throwing jokes back and forth, one setting off the next, everyone building on each other's energy. Some people jump right in without a second thought. Others just stand there, laughing along. They have a comment sitting right there in their head. They've got it, it's ready. But they overthink it, and by the time they'd finally say it, the moment's already gone. It's not because they're not funny, it's because they're stuck worrying about how the joke will land instead of just throwing it out there. They're scared of the half second of silence if it doesn't work, so they play it safe and say nothing at all. The difference between the guy throwing comments left and right without a second thought and the guy standing there overthinking everything comes down to one little mental shift. Stop thinking about how you play and just play. Think of it like a striker in soccer. He might miss 5 shots in a game. Doesn't matter. The only thing anyone remembers afterward is the one he scored. And even if he doesn't score at all, but the team wins anyway, nobody's bringing up his missed shots the next day. They're just talking about the win. It's the exact same thing with jokes in a group. If one lands, great, that's the one people remember. If it doesn't, it genuinely doesn't matter. You were still out there playing. By the end of the night, nobody's replaying your one joke that missed. They're just remembering that it was a fun night and that you were part of it. So when the group's throwing jokes back and forth, you throw yours in too, without stopping to judge it first. Someone jokes about a friend always being late, you add, "At this point we should just tell him the party starts 2 hours earlier." That's it. You're not aiming for the best joke of the night, you're just staying in the game instead of watching from the sidelines. Social trick 4, the callback. You know that feeling. You're in a group, you finally have something to say, you open your mouth, and right as you start, someone louder cuts straight through you, or the whole group just moves on to something else, like your sentence never even happened. You sit there for a second, still holding on to the rest of what you wanted to say, and then you just swallow it and go back to listening. Sucks, right? Now what if, 10 minutes later, someone turned to you and said, "Wait, you were saying something earlier. What was that?" Suddenly someone actually noticed, actually cared enough to bring it back. That person instantly becomes different from everyone else in the group, the one you remember, maybe even the one you'd call a friend after just one night. If you want to be charismatic in group conversations, then your goal should be to become that person, the one who pays attention, and it's simpler than it sounds. You just have to actually pay attention, even when you're not the one talking, and hold on to the small things people didn't get to finish. Let's say someone starts telling a story and gets cut off before the end. A little later, could be 5 minutes, could be later that night, you turn to them and say, "Wait, you were saying something about X earlier. What was that?" It might feel small in the moment, but to them, it's the difference between feeling invisible and feeling seen. The same move works with something that actually did get finished. For example, if someone mentioned a problem with their boss, you can bring it up again a few days later. Did that thing with your boss ever get resolved? Both versions prove that you were paying attention and not just waiting for your turn to talk. You were actually present and listening to them, even in a group of 6 people talking over each other. This is often the single biggest thing that separates someone who was fun for one night from someone the group wants back. Because in the moment, everyone's talking. But actually remembering, is rare enough that people notice it immediately. None of this is about being the loudest person in the room. It's about a handful of small moves that most people never learned, and now you have. But knowing these moves and actually using them are two different things. Actually using them with real people in a real conversation is where most people stop. That's exactly why we built the 7-Day Charisma Challenge. 7 days, 7 simple real-life tasks, built to take you from watching to actually doing. I linked it for you in the description. And if you got value out of this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. It genuinely helps us keep making videos like this. And to everyone already subscribed, thank you. It really means a lot.